Alright, so this is my familiar Possess rank 4 4-axis deck, or rank 4 deck, whichever way you look at it. Also have the ability to synchro into Black Rose or Gunir, Dragon of the Ice Bearer, through the means of Black Rose and Eria the Water Charmer, because she has 500 attack. And of course, she has the effect of flips. When she's flipped, take control of one water monster on your opponent's side of the field for as long as this card remains face up in the field. So that's useful against any water attribute decks like Mermalantians, the Cloths, Gishkis, so on and so on. Any water attribute deck, even against another version of this deck, right? Then we got Raging Eria. Once per turn, you contribute one water monster you control except this card. This special summon one water monster from your hand. The monster special assigned by this effect is destroyed if Raging Eria is removed from the field. So you're not really gonna use that effect, but you will use the fact that she's a low 4 spellcaster, so you can summon Gigobite, and that right there will let you go into a rank 4 play. Since she has 800 attack, of course you can use Salvage, which can grab 1500 less attack monsters from the graveyard and add it to your hand. So that'd be useful, especially if you summon Raging Eria, for example, and summon Gigobite, overlay, let's say your opponent to Trenchals Trenchal or Compulsives or something like that, your XYZ monster. Since now you have a 1500 and an 800 in the graveyard, you can salvage and add both of them to your hand and try again the next turn, right? Then we got Familiar Possess Eria. You can special summon her from your hand or deck by sending one Eria the Water Charmer, which is her, and one water attribute monster you control. And then when she's special summoned onto the field, she gains piercing. Whenever she battles a monster in defense mode, you deal the difference between her attack and your opponent's monster's defense. So that's pretty useful. A typical way of doing this obviously would be you summon Eria the Water Charmer. Since she's spellcaster, you can summon Gigobite and then send both to the graveyard to summon Familiar Possess Eria from your deck. That's a good way of thinning out your deck. Plus you get a 1850 Piercer, and the piercing effect is very useful against certain decks, especially decks that have monsters that float or monsters that can't be destroyed as all battle. You could just attack and pierce them, or if your opponent has tokens, you can attack the tokens and deal piercing damage. So that way you can keep making sure you deal damage to your opponent. Also, she is a spellcaster, so if you so happen to have another Gigobite, you can special summon that other one onto the field, and then you'll still have now you have two monsters on the field that you can battle with, an 1850 Piercer and a 1500. And of course you can go, since they're both 4, you can go into an Exceed play, especially main phase 2. Then we got 10 Goldfish, level 4 machine type. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon one level 4 monster from your hand. And of course there's plenty of level 4 targets in the deck that you can use. And that right there can go into another Exceed play, rank 4 Exceed play. One that you could do, of course, is you can summon 10 Goldfish, summon any Familiar Possess or Raging Eria onto the field, and then since you have a spellcaster, you can special summon Gigobite. Now you have 3 level 4 monsters on the field. You can go into Stellar Knight Delta Theros, right? Or you can go into Violent the Sigma. 2 really good rank 4s. If Shockmaster was unbanned, you could make him as well, of course. There's also Shark. I can't remember his name right now. Something Shark. Yeah, you guys probably know what it is. Not Bahamas Shark, because obviously we already have him there, but it was the other, another shark that's used in the Zeal series. That's 2800 attack. Anyway, you know, you can make stuff like that. But I like Violon and Delta Theros, because Delta Theros has the ability that while this card has XYZ materials, your opponent can activate cards or effects when you normal special summon a monster or monsters that includes himself when he summons. So when he summons, you don't have to worry about Trenchel or Bahamas or anything like that, which is good. And then whenever you summon other monsters, he will also protect them, so that way you can, like if you do the salvage thing, you keep summoning monsters and exceeding and stuff like that, you don't have to worry about your opponent responding with those, you know, types of cards. You don't have to worry about space-time travel or something like that, which can be very annoying, right? So you have to worry about stuff like that once summon him. And then of course, once per turn, you can detach a material from this card to target one card on the field and destroy it, which is amazing, of course. We'll get rid of the cards on the field. He has an added ability, but that only works while he's in a Teller Knight deck. But he has two effects you can use, so might as well use them. Bottom of the Sigma, you detach a material, take target one face-up type of effect monster your opponent controls, and equip it as an equip card to this monster. And while this monster has that monster equipped, based off of that monster, this equipped attribute, this monster will gain the ability that when it battles a monster of that attribute, it will destroy it before damage calculation. I mean, at the start of the damage calculation. At the start of damage step, without applying damage calculation. Alright. So essentially, it'll turn it into an ally of Justice Catastor. So it's a pretty good card against any deck, especially if it's a deck that's, you know, all water or all light, dark, you know, stuff like that. So it's definitely good against decks like that. And double checking. Yeah. Alright, of course, salvage will let you recoup your monsters depending on what strategy you want to go with. You know, let's say you already have a monster in your hand, like let's say you have Familiar Possessed in your hand, and you have 10 Goldfish in a graveyard and a Gigabyte. You can use salvage to grab those two, add them to your hand, then you can summon 10 Goldfish, get the effect to summon Familiar, and then since she's a spellcaster, you can summon Gigabyte, and there you go. You have 3 monsters on the field at one time. You can go into an Exceed play. You can use all 3, or you could just use the 10 Goldfish along with the Gigabyte, and create a really strong XYZ monster. They can help you, you know, turn the duel around. A good play, of course, would be to use Gigabyte and 10 together, overlay them, right, and create King of Pharaoh Imps. Then use his effect to detach any of the monsters as materials. It doesn't matter which one you choose. Then add from your deck a Gigabyte, since he's a reptile, right? Level 4 reptile. Add him to your hand, and since you still have Familiar Possessed on the field, now you can special summon this Gigabyte, and then you can Exceed again if you want, or you know, all that good stuff. So that's a good little play. So you can get 2 Exceed monsters on the field, or just get a 1500, an 1850, and a 2300 on the field, and that might be enough to end your opponent out in one turn. You know, potentially create an OTK. That's all the good gravy stuff, right? Then we got Nobleman of Extermination. Really good card. You know, it's a temporary good replacement for Bait Doll, mainly because it can get rid of extra copies of certain cards from your opponent's deck. Especially certain decks tend to play multiple copies of certain traps. So traps that are not chainable, like, you know, Magic Cylinder, Mirror Force, Trench, or stuff like that. This would be good to get rid of stuff like that. And essentially, in general, it's just good in general. It could also get rid of any face down spell card as well. So if somebody sets a spell card as a bluff, then they just bluff themselves, because you'll still be able to banish it. So they won't have it for the following turn. And of course, this will also allow you to be able to see in your opponent's deck. He gets to see in your deck to verify that neither player has multiple copies of that specific card. And then you got Spell Shadow Arrow, mainly for pendulum summoning, to prevent it by taking down a scale. But you could use this against anything else. Continuous spell cards like Swords, Revealing Light, continuous tanky field spells, stuff like that. Glider Beast, not Glider Beast, I meant to say Crystal Beast, when they go in the Spell and Trap Zone, they count as continuous spells, so you could pop them, deal your opponent damage. Yeah, but you could also chain this to the activation of a regular spell card. Chain it, and you can deal your opponent 500 damage. And that could win you the duel if your opponent's low on life. You could also use this in time when you're playing competitively and time is running out and you want to make it where you have more life than your opponent at the end of the time of the match. You can just play this, pop some of their spells, and win on time. MST, basic, get rid of anything that's problematic, like let's say Necro Valley, which will prevent your salvages from working or your Call of Haunted from working, so you can MST it. You can use it to obviously MST a face down card, Vanity's Emptiness, in case your opponent's trying to prevent you from special summoning. If somebody tries to Phoenix chain your 10 Go Fish, you can chain the MST and pop it, so you Go Fish will still get its effect, and you can start summoning a whole bunch of monsters, go crazy combos. Red screen, defensive, gotta have some type of defense. Stall for the win, right? Wing Blast, very versatile. You can get rid of any card on the field that you don't want, or you can't destroy them by card effects. This is useful against them. Then if you target a big monster on your opponent's side of the field and throw it on top of the deck, then that slows them down, because then 1, they draw that card again, and then 2, if they want to summon it again, they have to go through all the trouble of summoning it all over again. So that definitely annoys your opponent, and this is just a really good card, especially if you use it in a chain, so you can guarantee something goes back into your opponent's deck, especially if they're going to search. Like, let's say your opponent plays a card like Power Duality or something, then you can chain this, send a monster back on top of the deck, and then the duality will resolve, and then if they add the monster back to the hand, whatnot, it doesn't matter, or whatever. You get the idea. Cause your opponent a lot of headaches by doing stuff like that. Also, you could probably combo it with Spiritual Water Art, so that way now you know that he's not going to get anything good out of the duality, right? Or off his next draw, so that when he draws the same card again, then you can play this, look in their hand, and it's like, alright, let me get rid of something that is good in your hand, and now you're just stuck with some bad cards in their hand. And of course, Spiritual Wind Art is just a really, really good, amazing card, because it lets you see what's in your opponent's hand and send a card to the graveyard. It's similar to Trap Dust Shoot, but it has a cost, which you have no problem paying, because large majority of your extra deck monsters, your exceeds, are water, so you can afford to pay for it. Your whole deck consists of water monsters, so you can easily afford to pay for it. You look at your opponent's hand, target, and send 1 card from your opponent's hand to graveyard. Since it's send, it won't activate the dark world effect. So if you want to send something like a graph or something to the graveyard, you could do that and whatnot. But typically you may want to send stuff like spells and traps, stuff that you don't want to deal with, because you could pretty much easily deal with any monster your opponent summons, since you have so many, since you got stuff like Sky Blaster to throw the monster back into the deck and stuff like that. I've seen Berserk, so if you do send a monster over, you could just banish it. You get the idea. Call the Haunted, of course, so you can just reuse your monsters and exceed summon. Also, is useful with Rhapsody and Berserk, because you could bring him back and then use his effect to attach himself to any of your monsters and give them a nice little extra boost. The Breeze Dragon, as I explained, you will use it with Eria, the Water Charmer, so you can make Black Rose or Garnier, and once they get to the point that Konami just, erratas the Breeze Dragon, and it's, everybody's playing the upgraded version, then you'll be able to do you'll be able to synchro for 8 stars using level 4s, but in this build you're only doing level 7s and rank 4s. Green Kappa, the way you'll summon him is to the effect of Bahamut Shark. So after you make him, you attack with Bahamut Shark, deal some damage, then main phase 2 activate his effect by detaching material to summon Armored Kappa, and now you have a nice little effect, little defender. If your opponent tries to destroy your monster as out of battle, you can you can discard a card from your hand, and for the rest of the turn, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle, and you also take no battle damage. So that's awesome, right? Just by discarding any dead draw cards, you can make it where your monsters just can't die. Bahamut Shark, of course, is just so you can summon Armor Kappa, but he's a 2600 beater, so yeah, I like that. Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon has a really good effect. Detach 2 materials, half the attack of a monster your opponent controls, gain that attack boost, so it'll be easier to run your opponent's monsters over and deal a lot of damage. King of the Pharaoh Imps, of course, I already explained how you can use it in a combo to essentially create an OTK. His effect, of course, you detach it, so you can add a reptile monster from your deck to your hand, which is Gigabyte. Abyss Dweller, he'll become 2200 because you do use water monsters, so he will gain that extra 500 attack, but he also has the ability during either player's turn, you can detach a material from this card, and any card effect that activates in your opponent's graveyard cannot be activated this turn. This is good against Mermels, Mermel Lancean decks, Shadal decks, Burning Abyss, right? So on and so forth. So it's a really good monster to have. Very useful. Number 50, Black Ship of Corn, useful against monsters that can't be destroyed by battle, like Marshmallow, Spirit Reaper, stuff like that. And just good in general to burn your opponent. You could even use it against monsters, like number 101 or Zen Main, monsters that detach to protect themselves from being destroyed. You can use Corn's effect to send them, since it's sending, their ability to protect themselves won't apply, and you can send them to the graveyard and deal them 1000 damage. You also want extra Ton Knight, of course. This helps you clear the field, so that's great. Wing Sky Blaster Castile. This will allow you to detach 1 material to put 1 monster on the field face down, or detach 2 materials and target 1 face-up card on the field and return it back to the owner's deck, and they shuffle their deck. Typically we use that secondary effect. Good for getting rid of any monster that can't be destroyed by a battle or card effect. Good against getting rid of anything that's problematic, like Necro Valley or something like that. Any continuous trap that might be a problem. Definitely you can use it against monsters. It could be a problem. And you can attack the turn you use that effect, so that's always good. While Black Ship of Corn, you cannot attack the turn you use his effect. Then we got number 101, Sonnet on our Arc. Detach 2 materials to target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls in face-up attack position, and attach it to this card as XYZ material. If this card will be destroyed by battle card, you can detach a material to prevent its destruction. and it's water, so you can use it with the water art, you know, get its effect, be able to get its effect off. Something of interest, just notice Armored Kappa has 400 attack, and he's water, so if he's in the graveyard and you use salvage, you'll be able to put him back into your extra deck in case you want to reuse him later, you know, in case you want to make another Bahamut Shark. In case, let's say, somebody compults your Bahamut Shark and managed to destroy your Armored Kappa, you can recycle your Armored Kappa by using salvage, re-summon a Bahamut Shark, use the effect to bring back Kappa. So that's something you could do there. This was 1700, so it won't work with him. Then we got Rhapsody Berserk. Detach a material to banish its target card corner's graveyard and banish that target. And of course, you could do it more than once, because you can do it up to twice per turn. You could attach this to once per turn. Attach this to a XYZ monster you control, and it gives that monster 1200 extra attack power. Snow Dust Giant requires 2 level 4 water monsters. Once per turn, you can detach a material from this card. Reveal any number of water monsters in your hand and place that many ice counters on face-up monsters on the field. There are not water monsters on the field, and they lose 200 attack for each ice counter on the field. So this is a good way of making a lot of monsters weaker, so you can easily run them over. Well, this card has XYZ material. Cannot activate cards or effects in normal special summon a monster or monsters. Well, already said the name of this effect. This might help. Violon to Sigma. I explained those. So that's the end of the deck profile.
We've been waiting for 2 hours.